Alrighty. It's an MMO day. I am kind of just getting back in the groove here. Let me get some music going. Let's do a bit of lo-fi. Set my headset. Okay. Hopefully that's some chill beats for a chill day of MMO. Alright. So my plan today is to organize my thoughts a little bit. And I think I want to do a slight rework on a few things. And so I'm going to, I've had this test for vertical third to simplify some of the complexity of creating abilities. And so I'm going to implement that change today into Ruins of Tearyn and experience it for myself and see if I want to merge it over to vertical third. So I will start with that. What we're going to do is go into well, first I have to start doing a bit of backups. And so I think I had started on this already. Are these even being used? It's kind of a organizational day, a little bit. I don't think I'm using those anymore. Yeah, these are all not being used. I'm going to just delete these. These should all be also not in use. What the heck? Alright. Can you show an explorer, please? click on what are these in use for. So we have parry. We don't need. Recovery extraction. What was that used for? Alright, let me pop over. I've got to do a few things. So copy link in YouTube. Alrighty. Oh, is that what that is? Okay. So I think that is. Okay, so let's think about how I want to put these. We're going to just do a campfire. And then campfire, put that there, move here. And then the blueprint of the campfire we will also put there. And then, what did I call these things again? Sucrose. Sucrose. Just fix that a second. We'll rename this to sucrose. Now, get rid of that folder. Okay. AI. Got our classes. I don't think I use this. But yeah, I'm just doing a bit of cleanup before I really dig deep into anything. So we have AI. I'm sure these are all in use, right? Yep. Okay, maybe they're not in use. Is that just the master? Okay. So that's the master there. Then these are not being used. Okay. I'm just gonna wing it and just delete all these. Oh wait. The deers and stuff are using that? Oh crap. Maybe that was a mistake. Alright. Let me pull up a force. Or can I? Okay. Let me go to. Get a revision. Let me close this out. Alright. Alright. Now, did these properly point back to them? Hopefully. Okay, now the question here is why these point to that and not the other ones. So we have the master here. And I don't think I'm going to delete this and replace it. With that one. And that should fix it. Now I go to the bear. Wait, that's not right. What? Is it just a deer? What in the world? This is very strange. Why did this just disappear all of a sudden? I want to hit don't save. Hopefully that fixes it. All right. It's here. Why are you doing this? Oh, it's still targeting the old one. Okay. So back to Perforce. Show and explore. Okay, just reload this. Okay, that worked. Reparent. MMO AI. I'm gonna load this one in. Let's try this once more. So if I delete this, we're going to see it's currently the parent of all of these. So let's just do a quick snippet so I can check on these later. I want to replace it with MMO AI. Master. Okay, that's not right. Okay. Wait. Path game MMO database enemies master. That's correct. Oh, so I did do force delete. I meant to do replace references. So I did screw it up. Okay, so now we go to Deer, and it's working. Okay, window, viewport, all good. All right. And these guys aren't even used. These are bandit, archer, So these guys should be all deletable. Yeah, actor spawn archer, spawn caster, melee, target dummy. And there's one small exception, I guess, is no, that's AI. Bandit, archer, AI. All right. Yeah. So is there a target dummy? Yeah, we have a target dummy there. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and delete these now. Okay. Save all. Let's just do a quick test. Make sure nothing's crashing or anything. Let's pop this open. Little vertical third starting area here. Okay. I might have to reset some of the character stuff, looks like. Yeah, okay. Alright, database, enemies, bear. Okay, the bear is fine. Boar. Boar is fine. Deer. Okay, what is going on here? Interesting. Maybe the character didn't load in. I don't know. Okay, there it goes. I think I just need to go to the master, viewport, and we're going to clear this out of there because we don't need that there. And then target dummy should have its own thing. Yeah, okay. Archer. Yeah, it's got something. All right, perfect. I think we're good there. All right, so that cleanup is done. So campfire, let's see here. I will make another directory here. Actually, before I do any of this, I'm going to update and submit to Perforce. I think of this as a lot of my random updates. So I think it's like Dragon Boss stuff, item updates and fixes, folder cleanup, AI enemy, old file deleted. All right, so let's, now that we did that, we're going to do a new folder. We're going to do animals. The bear, the boar, the deer, moose, spider, stag, wolf. Yeah, today's a bit of a, I think I'm definitely focusing today on just project organization a little bit here. And I just want a little bit of a reset on some of this stuff. Let's do a save all. Get some weird issue. I keep doing this. Alright, let's go to the level again. Let's see if this loads in after all this. Oh, it's probably it's the male-female thing. That's what it is, I bet. Have a thing for this. Hmm. Ah, there it is. Oh, so I can just keep that. Oh, randomized mesh. Okay, that's what it is. Um, Sorry, I keep. Oh yeah, I should just turn that off. Randomized mesh by default is off. Save all. I don't think I even need that code anymore. It's kind of like old code, but it should be fine. Technically, that's kind of good. Now a deer should be a deer. Wolf should be a wolf. Boar should be a boar. Yay. Alright. What else can we organize here? It's a little weird why it's doing that. Oh, weird. Settings. Where's view? Why aren't the redirectors showing then? I guess I will just check out everything. Okay. Make writable. Cannot be checked out. Okay. Okay, so it's pointing the right place, even though it's saying it's not. So let's just go ahead and remove them. Oh, there it is. Checked out. If I try and delete. I guess it was never added for some reason, but open folder. Bear, deer, boar. Bear, boar, deer. Moose. Spider. Stag, wolf. Okay. Let's see if that screwed anything up. Not quite at the stage yet, but at some point I need to start doing a optimization pass. But so it looks like it did mess up the spawners, I think. Maybe. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna go back then. Okay, reopen. Okay. Hopefully this fixes it. Brings it back to normal. But can you check in the redirectors? It's looking like. And then fix them and delete them. Okay. And then if we go to here, show redirectors. Okay. So we're going to do bear, deer, ghost goblin, golem, moose, spider, stag, wolf. Take all these and check out. And then we will check in. All these. And now, if I update the redirectors, alright, okay. fix that up. Preferencer could not be checked out of source control. Why is that doing that? This is so very odd. Bear or deer, moose, spider, stag, wolf. Check out. Oh, so these are not even checking in the right file. These are checking in the actual files and not the referenced files or the referencers themselves. So for some reason, I'm going to have to just manually set these. Very weirdly. This is very strange. Update. Unreal referencer could not be checked out of source control. Okay, well that's kind of annoying. Because this could break a lot of my spawns. Do I have tags on these at all? Hmm. Okay. So it's only going to be animal targets that are broken. So what I can do is copy that for a moment, put it in Notepad. Then I'm just going to go ahead and delete these couple folders. So bear, boar, deer, moose, spider, stag, wolf. Deleted those. Have to refresh this. I can just open the level directly here. Level enemies. So I'm just going to go through these, find the ones that don't have something. Okay. I don't know what that one is. Come back to that in a second. What is that? 234. 234. And 240. 243. 245. 246. The world? Where are these things? Oh, these are the... Oh, okay, these are all the individual spawns. Okay. Or whatever. I don't think I need these too much. Alright. That's part of the problem fixed. Okay, yeah. Gotta check this out. What? My perforce has been weird lately. Even though I check things out, it doesn't make them writable. Alright. Let's open up the real map. This needs to be put to bear. Stag. Spider. Wolf. I don't know what that is. There's a boar. Bear. I guess a boar. The multi-spawner. Alright, all of these have something set now, just to make sure. It's supposed to be a spider. So I'm assuming all of these are broken. Yep. Okay. This is what? These are more spiders. That's what these are. Okay. Spawner's fixed from that issue. I'm going to submit that. Spawners fixed from enemy folder moves. Alright, so we have animal folder now. Now we'll do a elemental. Elementals. We're going to take all these. We're going to check everything out. And then save all and move them here. Hopefully they work this time. What is with these ones? It's getting very annoying. Like, why is this not updating? Am I really going to have to manually do this for every spawner now? It's not the end of the world, but it's annoying. Alright, let's just go ahead and do it. Try this once more. Oh, is it because the level, for some reason, is not made writable? Make writable. Okay, very weird. There we go. Thank goodness. Alright, and now an undead folder. Undead. Do zombies, Reaper, Ghost. We will check out. Also make writable. And move these to the undead folder. And then update references. Skeleton. Why is that looking like that? Oh, mesh. Okay. Check out. golems are technically an elemental. So I think I'm going to group them into that category. Okay. Goblin. So for this one, we're going to keep this folder. Actually, we'll just rename this folder as Goblin. We'll just say Warrior. Oh, that did not work. Let's cancel that one. Oops, wrong project. I don't know if the other project's still going to load. Alright, so I don't know. These are all considered ads. So something kind of fucked up here. So I don't know which one to delete. Is this being used by anything? Okay, that's the fake one, I guess, now. Okay. So maybe it didn't work. Okay. Goblins. Just make sure. The goblin spawns didn't get messed up here. Good. This looks fine. Okay. Orcs folder. So apparently I have to do checkout. Okay, and then make writable. Then we move it here. And then we update references. Delete those folders. What else we got? So dragon whelp. So let's do dragons. Oh, I have to get the other level checked out as well. And this one. Stylized dragon pack. All right, decent updates here. So we have Archer. Is this used right now? Basically, I should be putting them to like Bandit, and then it's Bandit Archer, Bandit whatever. So Mercenary is fine. That'll be its own category. Bandit Archer, Caster. Yeah, so let's make a Bandit folder. Bandits folder. And then all of these guys will just be considered bandits. Check out. And make writable. Okay, masters its own. Melee, again, I'm going to make that bandit, I think. Just for simplicity's sake right now. Just trying to do some light cleaning up with the project. It's fine. Target dummy. Okay. Much better. Okay, so we have loot tables. Alright, so these are going to be so multiple. It's a bad category. It's bad to put them in these just because some of these might. So I'm just going to rename the folder. tables. Of course. Make writable. They're all checked out. Okay. Loot. Which folder was that? MMO database, enemies, animals, spiders. Okay, so just enemies. We'll just check out degradable. This last one, AI melee character. Wait, what? Tearyn database. Oh. That's this one. So that's on old, that's my old project stuff. That's not what I wanted. Update redirectors. Thank you. Alright, so we have loot tables. So maybe I do a loot folder and then combine all these. So before I do that, I'm going to do one more. Update everything. Just submit for a check-in. For big folder moves, and organization. And I'm just going to keep everything checked out. Alright, now let's do a loot folder. And we're going to move equipment and loot tables, potions, and weapons. Before we do that, make sure everything's checked out. Make sure everything is writable, and it is. And move it to the loot folder. Hopefully I am unmuted. Yeah, okay, good. I was curious. I was like, oh, I did default have this muted. Hopefully it's still doing something. But yeah, I'm kind of doing a little bit of just reorganizing the project a little bit because I'll be doing some kind of system changes. I have some workflow things I'd like to fix before I move forward with more abilities. So I'm just trying to, it's also like a potential revamp I might be doing with some of the vertical third systems. And so it's not like a major revamp, it's just a little bit of a workflow change. But I'd like to have my stuff a bit more organized before doing so. All right, that went through. So all the folders got removed as well. So now we have loot. Now I think I might backtrack on putting loot tables. I'd like to have them kind of grouped together there. Food is definitely going to be put. Okay, these did not get deleted, so I think update. Yeah, these can be deleted. Potions can be deleted. Weapons. And then equipments were done. Loot tables gone. Potions. Alright, so once again, just save all. I'm going to submit, keep everything checked out. Loot. But if anyone has any questions about what we're doing, we do have some long form content on how we're going to build this and how we're going to make it and actually make it achievable. Alright, so equipment, loot table. So now I'm going to. Why did that check in? What? That it's weird. Keep files checked out. And so, but yeah, we're trying to be a little bit cross between EverQuest and World of Warcraft. And so, I feel like we really enjoyed EverQuest times, but there is a lot of stuff that we would like to change and modernize. And there's a lot of stuff we liked about WoW, but it was maybe too casualized, and we'd like to kind of have somewhere in between there. Okay, so loot tables. What is going on? I'm going to just restart my editor. It's just not updating. Okay. Very odd. Regardless, I'm going to, so this is all checked out. Move this back in the database folder. That moved nicely. This is what I wanted. So like I like having categories grouped. So we have loot and then loot tables right next to each other. So if you're ever browsing, you know what you're looking for there. And then NPC. Okay. So those are all NPCs, sure. Progression. These will be the skill trees eventually, which I don't think I'll need a folder for this because it's going to eventually be in each individual thing. So for now, I'm going to just move this in the classes folder. And so that this folder will be removed later, but that's fine. Crafting. Okay, so these are all different types of loot. So these will go into the loot folder. Let's make sure I have it checked out. And I'm hoping just to get some of this organizational stuff done today. And later today, I'll probably be doing a little bit of a build and a play test, just to make sure everything's working correctly. But I'm definitely hoping to do quite a bit of update this in the next month. And see, I'm definitely building towards our next playtest. We were going to have a playtest late December, but just timing didn't work out. Holidays, everything. We're attempting to get a few content creators and work with their community potentially to have some sort of. The main thing I want to do is get a stress test done. I want to have like a 200-person stress test just in running around on on one server and just how is my performance holding up with everything, and server performance, that is. I don't think anyone's had too many actual PC performance things. There's like a little bit of problems inside this undead cave right now. It's like we get a big FPS spike there, but I'm not really too concerned with like individual computer performance optimization just yet. I know I have a ton of things I can improve on there, especially when we're using so many marketplace assets and whatnot. Okay, master, mercenary. Just make sure this should have nothing set. Oh, hi, Denick. Yeah, so we try and do. We've done 3 playtests so far, and so I think it was like April, June, September. We've done playtests, and the turnout was obviously kind of small because our reach is kind of small right now. But It's open to everyone, and my goal is to always have 4 playtests a year, but just timing didn't work out for the fourth one last year, and so um, we're working on some progress towards the next one. And so let me look at some of the blueprints here. Blueprint class. Okay. Well, I see you're a dev. What type of stuff are you working on? Do you have your own indie project, or do you work in the industry? All right, food is clearly going to be all right, so crafting, I think I'm going to always snowy delight. Spideralistic, yeah. So food, let's take this out. That and move here. Update. Yeah, I do work on a project, but really like to talk about it that much here on Twitch. Are you guys using Iris? I meant don't really like. Yeah, that's fine. I've been there. I have like 6 projects I don't really talk about. Um, it's always that mentality of like I'm not ready to show it, or I don't really want to. I think I have something unique here. I don't want to give it away, and like all these type of things. Right now, I don't use Iris. I think it's not really officially supported or whatnot. Like I don't know. I haven't really looked into. Like I know there's a you can like enable it or whatever, but um, I don't think it's like an official release. Like I think was it in the game mode? You can set the network something here. Yeah, right here. GameNet driver application system. But I just don't know if it's fully functional yet. I haven't, but I know when it is, it's something I probably just turn on, and I'm like, oh, okay, I get network wins, you know. But at the moment, everything I do is blueprint, and so um, I don't no worry about too much of that stuff. It's one of those things that like I find blueprint code is like really underestimated right now, and it provides really good constraints for you to actually focus on what matters, and it's fast to use, and you kind of need that when you're trying to build a MMO, and it keeps things very simple too. Okay, we've got recipes. So I'm trying to think of a better folder structure for my recipes, because you kind of want to have them together in some sense. Or maybe not, I don't know. Thinking. So we have the equipment. equipment T0, then I could have recipes. So technically all this stuff here is actually, so it's crafting loot. So we're in the loot category of with crafting loot. And so maybe we put just recipes in. I know this is like a little bit weird for hyper focusing on this, but it's partly me just trying to stay organized, but also because I have vertical third, I'm also trying to establish like really good naming schemes and workflows. So I'm trying to basically condense all these things together for good guidelines and rules of thumbs. Like I have a game architecture video on my vertical third channel. And I got a lot of good feedback from it. And so I'm trying to put together a whole big list of part 2 of that video. And because I have a million like smaller sections. I did a big general overview of how I break down all my character classes and systems. And so I can do a video on each one, and that is one of the logical steps, but I'm also trying to do a part 2 to that big architecture video. Yeah, for now, I'm going to put so all these, wait, what? Where's all my crafting? Oh, it's in loot. Okay, that's what this is. Okay, so update that, and then I think I can delete this. And then all the crafting stuff's here. So we will do crafting ingredients. And then put all of these in here. These should be checked out, right? Yeah. Move here. I don't like to make too many individual folders for like a specific item, because that just adds a lot. And so like my equipment T0 stuff, I have all in maybe I just put them, the recipes together with them. Okay, so I have this big thing for that, and I could take the recipes. Where'd it go? Okay, update. Okay, recipes. So we have recipes in blacksmithing, T0. This is all like the recipes for plate. Maybe I just stick them in here. This is good. There's no sense in having them in separate folders, right? If you go anything related to your T0 chest plate, you want to have them all there. Instead of having a separate recipes folder for everything, I'm not sure. If you need to go to the loot, you go to the same folder as if you need to go to the recipe. So it makes sense. Okay, so I'm also getting into actually naming some of these things. You think? So they're all called bronze. So I could just take equipment T0. We're going to rename this as bronze. Everything's checked out, right? So let's do update. Rename this folder as bronze. Not, maybe not. Yeah, I'm not ready to make that change yet. Just gonna submit all this and then change it back. It's always a challenge of like sometimes naming schemes because you want to have the idea of non-destructive changes in a way. And if you, so like right now I have the bottom tier of loot for plate is called bronze. But in the future, I might change that name, right? So I think I'm just going to keep them set to there. So loot, crafting. We have our equipment. These are the actual equipments. Why don't I just make armor category. Yeah, we'll do armor. And then we're going to do a just T0. We're going to do tier 0. Tier 01. Let's put this back to rename. I'll just literally do just super future proofing everything. Tier 002. That's all we have right now. So equipment T0, we're going to take all of this and put it in that category. And then we can delete that one. Equipment T0, take all of this and put it to here. Then we're going to do the same for weapons as well. But yeah, I haven't done a big project just cleanup since I even started the project. So I'm just going through and getting that stuff done. Okay. Armor. Now weapons. We have a new folder. Tier 000. And tier 2. So we're going to have a sword, mace, bow, dagger, hand. Okay, just copy these folders. Alright, which one is this? This is, I think, T1. So this is T0. Okay, bow. This should be T0, bow, yep. This is T1 bow, yep. This is a T0 dagger. Oops. Okay, one hand snow cone. This is T0. Okay, T0 shield. Go there. Choose right. Yep. Shield. And I organize things in tiers because it's an MMO and everything's about progression. And so it makes sense to always think about how your characters progress and making sure that your loot makes sense in the aspect of that. Put this. Okay. Oh, crud. Did I screw something up? Okay. Okay. Looking pretty good so far. Alright. So we have loot. In our database, we have... So that's probably going to change later, but... our classes and everything within those. Each one has... Yeah, that was my backup. I was starting there. All the different classes there. All of our enemies with different categories by archetype of so-called enemy. And I'll just go ahead and do this. Mercenaries. And we'll rename this. I need to just check these out. And then I'm going to rename this. There, Warrior. And update. I should be able to delete that now. And then take the Mercenary Warrior and put in Mercenaries. And then we delete that. Mercenary Warrior. And Orcs target dummies. Alright. Much better there. And Sucrose is... I don't really know where I'm putting that exactly just yet. Now stack curves can just go in their enemy folders. So AI Dragon, I can move that here. Whelp, go to Whelp. Target dummy to target dummy. And these are kind of, hello Animosity. Oh, thank you for the follow. How are you doing today? I'm just doing a little bit of project organization right now. So this is Ruins of Tearyn. It's an indie MMO, kind of in the direction of a little bit of EverQuest and World of Warcraft. And so let me see if I can boot this up here. And so we've been working on it like less than part-time for about a year now. We've done 3 playtests last year that were pretty small, so we're trying to work on getting more people together to do a larger scale stress test on our server. And something's did not get set. Super fun. Let's go back here. Yeah, we did. We did. We went on the live stream a while back and kind of gave a broad overview of everything. All right, I just moved some bunch of loot references around, and some of them didn't take it seems. So I'll have to fix those. Let me. But yeah, so it's some basic classes in, and we're really focused on our tech, obviously, and so we have a whole. Oh, my character's level 50, so I'm like one-shotting stuff. It's the first time I hit play, so everything's kind of loading in slowly right now. And so I'm not quite set up to do a bit of testing right now, but I'm probably doing a playtest later today once I get some of these changes put in. But yeah, so we have and I've done a few since that video. I'll bring them up. I've done a few new videos on just how we're building it, basically. So if you go to Ruins of Tearyn, I did a whole how to build an indie MMO video that kind of goes to the details of the tech stack of stuff. And then a little bit related is we also went on Unreal for Vertical Third, which is the tech we built. So there is that stream there as well. And then, but I also did a big game architecture video as well. That goes through a little bit of how we're actually organizing Vertical Third and all that stuff. And so it's really compartmentalized. It makes everything modular and all those things. Yeah, cool. Thank you for that. Yeah, so today I'm just I've only been streaming for like an hour or so, whatever, and I'm kind of just with the holidays and things, and I've been a little bit distracted, little neglecting of the project, so I'm coming back in and getting reacquainted with everything, and I wanted to do. It's been a year, and I haven't done a formal like kind of regrouping on the project and cleanup, and so I'm getting through some of that. And then I have another change I want to do for better workflow in the future through some of my vertical third systems. And if it works with Tearyn, I'm going to also bring it over to vertical third. And it simplifies, like when we look at our ability data, it can get pretty complicated. So if we pull up any ability, these are all the different options we have in our actual ability system. And so it goes through like targeting and positioning and all this stuff. And then I have a whole like unlimited, potentially unlimited action loop system where you can make, direct targets, projectiles, beams, cones, mobility, AoE, act response. Oh, excuse me. Grid's a custom thing from our last project that got copied over here, but it'll be removed later today. And so I wanted to simplify this a bunch, and then we also have a whole other section for statistic changes too. And so I have a little bit of I've always wanted to create the mentality of always think of single abilities that are the ingredients to creating a bigger so-called recipe for a big combat ability. Yeah, my whole vertical third system is data table based. So um, if you're looking here, like all of my data for the game is going to be a data table and a database folder, but the code is going to be in the vertical third folder with all my systems. And so I segment all my systems into actor components. So it's like the AI has combat, logic, movement, threat. There's for every character, there's animation, crafting, death, experience, graph data, input, inventory, loot, mesh VFX, which I'm probably going to rename this to cosmetics later on. Progressions like talent trees and stuff, your questing systems, scoreboard systems, statistic systems, targeting teams. So I like really break it down. And then the data tables break into structs into all of these, and that's how the systems work. And so it's very designer friendly, so I can teach someone to just come in and create all the abilities through a data table, right? They don't even have to touch code. And so that's kind of the concept and reason there for all of that. And the same thing with loot, right? Loot recipes, they're all their own system, their own thing of they have their own set of features for options. And so, you know, I can teach basically my kids to just I haven't done this yet, but if I ever wanted my kids to come in and add something to the game, they'd be able to do it because it's literally just a bunch of check boxes and stuff that you just add or whatever, and choose what you want. So, but the key thing that we got going last year was we got got everything online and working. Oh, hold on. We got everything online, and I think I could just. Why don't I do this? Why don't I just actually boot the servers up real quick? I'll turn the servers on and just tinker a bit. I'll just put them on today, so I have the ability to show people stuff. I'm using PlayFab. I don't think I think I can show this. Maybe. I don't like to show my PlayFab screen because I don't know if something's not supposed to be shown. But these are my servers here. So I have the character select server. I have the original level server, which is the one I was showing you in the editor, and then I have the boss level server as well. And so I just turned them on. They got to take a second to boot up. But yeah, PlayFab's worked really well for me. I've been using it since like 2016 or something like that. So hasn't failed me so far, but I've been trying to also like understand the scaling of everything and seeing how far I can go. And like, cause I'll be eventually doing server, level instancing. So we're going to start with not doing any like instanced group content. So everything's just in the world. And so if you want to fight something, you have to go group up with people and get together to fight those things. And so, but we will have to do obviously we have probably a player limit cap of around 200 people per server. And so that's I'm assuming that would be the best case scenario. If it's higher than that, great. And so how many we're likely going to need to do the classic WoW style of instance instancing for zones, and then I'll probably have to make some interesting algorithms for certain named monsters and making sure they don't like super overpopulate or something, or if there's like a raid boss that you know it can't always. I know that was a big thing in WoW instancing of people would just go from instance to instance to pick off to like super farm raid bosses, and that's something we don't really want. But yeah, PlayFab's worked great for us so far. We haven't had any issues with it. Let me also set my character to. Oh, I should be able to do that when I log in. But yeah, we use the basically Epic Game Store is just our patcher launcher right now, right? And so yeah, I can't log in yet. Character select server's not up. It takes a second to boot up, but then obviously if once they're actually booted up, if I wanted to, start with new instances and stuff, that's faster after the first one. So like initialize and things. But yeah, so it's been cool. Like again, so um, last year was really about starting the project, getting our initial ideas down, and then getting the tech stack figured out, right? And so that involves the patcher launcher boot up, connecting to the character select server, and then being transferred to the actual game world server, and then zoning from zone to zone, which as a precursor to that, you need to have your persistency, and so saving to the cloud. Otherwise, because like I think the first playtest, nothing saved. So if you got disconnected or whatever, you have to start from scratch. Second playtest was persistency, so it saved your location in the world and your loot, your gear, and stuff like that. And then the third one is now, or the third playtest was getting that second zone online and then zoning from zone to zone, and it's saving your stuff. So we got that done, and so really now it's about kind of adding more content and polishing what we want to do, and so that's really where I'm at right now, and why I'm kind of doubling down on the. Did I initialize that one too? Yeah, I did. Okay. They're almost up here. I doubled down on that aspect of it all, and so now we're able to polish the project up a little bit and focus on like UX stuff. Maybe we'll change the UI, getting more content in the game to make it feel like you're actually progressing, having things to do, and really nail down that like first hour experience for our playtesters and have them excited to get into the game and try things. And so it's going to be a little bit of kind of thinking about progression, loot progression, better, more monster things to fight. I know I want to get start working on our map system, which will play into a lot of things, and that's basically the instead of having like these quest hubs that you jump from one to the other, it's more of like this. You can pull up your map, and it's like, what do you want to do today? And you can go kind of like as a bit of a checklist, go through explore and try things. And instead of just, you're this level, go here, and that's it, or whatever. And so, all right, here we go. Login success. So I can just start a new character here. And so here I just logged in, got transferred to the character select server. I have a dedicated server for the actual character creation. And so obviously the Cinti characters are all purely, they're just placeholder characters, right? And I can just make a new character. I will do, let's do an archer, I guess. Archer, master, 6-7. And we can just enter the world. And then now being transferred to the actual world server. And so we're focused on very small levels, and obviously my loading screens aren't timed properly right now, but it's something that's, again, goes back to the polished aspect of everything. And so I'm in the game, I'm playing in a live environment, everything's looking good. It's all smooth. You can see the AIs are doing their thing. Trees and stuff are all lootables, replicated, so they're loading in. And I can start getting some quests. And I have all like the quest, I have like 10 different quest archetypes already done. So these are just kind of there to show that they're done. And gotta loot some burbs. What was it like going through the Mega Ramp process? You kind of like build something cool, submit to the void, and you can do a cold email here and there and hope for the best. Like, that's pretty much sums it up. Like we've applied for multiple other things in the last 2 or 3 years and haven't gotten anything. So you would think like an indie MMO built with blueprints would be eligible for for some sort of mega grant, but I haven't got anything there. Oop, I'm forgetting all my buttons. All right, that's that. There's a damage trap. It's been a while since I played here. I think I needed a snare trap. There we go. And so, yeah, obviously having a demo of something, doing a trailer, filling out all your details on the form. But it's one of those things that it can be, and like it's really hard now because when Epic had their layoffs about two or 3 years ago, the majority of the Mega Grant team, I have a low chance to do a stupid parkour sound. Some of these projectiles aren't hitting. I wonder if that's a bear thing. A lot of the Mega Grant team did get laid off. So I don't even know who, like all of our points of contact at the Mega Grant team pretty much got let go. And so I don't even know who's even there doing Mega Grant stuff at this stage. And so it's very, to me, tight on who gets what. And, I don't even know. Like, they haven't even really done an update on, like, what the remaining pool of, funds are available for stuff. Crude hide. shield. And so it's hard to say like what levels of um, what are the levels of so-called like funding people can even get right now. So it's like I don't know. It seems it's very random um, at this point. And so like how I got it back then when the funding was kind of fresh and the grant system was newer. Obviously, as you would expect any fund, when they start out, they might be a little bit more open with what they give money to. But when that fund starts to get low, that's when it's like, okay, we got to be a little more tight on what we fund. And so, it's one of those things that like it's a little bit like I got through, I got my stuff, and like the stuff I worked on, obviously we're pretty big product. Like Vertical Third itself is a massive undertaking, right? It's not some small thing, and we were able to get through everything. Um, and I did cold email people, which helped. Um, but again, the people that used to be the ones open to cold email no longer are there. So it's a little bit it's harder. I think it's harder now to get a mega grant than it was when we went through it. Just because the fund is a bit smaller and they haven't really done any type of formal announcement because like what is it they're like Epic MegaGrant. It was announced it was $100 million like in 2019. And so, I don't know when, I'm sure most of the funds are kind of used up by now. And they haven't, like, said they're adding more to the pool at all or anything like that. But by all means, it's like it's never not something not to try either. I want to make that clear. Um, if you have something that you think would be is interesting, then apply. I've submitted several projects like I did. At one point they did a shout out wanting mobile games to try and apply, and so I built a mobile game to try and get a grant as well, and fortunately didn't come through. All right, that's enough of that. But yeah, I just want to show the actual tech of that, and then if I run over, I'll do a quick run over to the server transfer as well here. I have a bit of a skip. But yeah, so like we have all of our basically um, all of our combat, our crafting's in, quest systems in. We have a progression system in. Right now, I just use it for cheats, so I haven't actually created any actual progression content. But so all of our core systems are effectively done. Roughly around 100. I think it's like 80 or 90 statistic values are all kind of in. All the calculations to all those inventory systems. We have 3 different inventories. Your loot inventory with equipment, your quest inventory, and then your crafting inventory. And then there's like a little scoreboard area, but that just shows all the people in the game and whatnot. But back in EverQuest days, sometimes you'd like walk up to this like a door, and then you just click on it, and that's what load you over. And so this is now loading me into the actual raid boss zone right now. This is going to be our first dungeon. And so obviously again, loading screens. I have to fix like the proper loading screens of everything. And then this is our first boss, Verovin. And we have like a little castle thing, but this will eventually be the dungeon that you can like. Obviously, this like room will probably be moved downwards type thing, and I'll be able to actually create a full dungeon through here for people to explore and have like a lot of loot monsters to go attack and stuff, or camp and everything. So tech-wise, we're moving along type thing. And so now it's about getting the content in and the game feel and a little bit of a polish on things. And so that's kind of where we're at. Okay. So I have old Coursera stuff. I don't remember if I need that stuff. Do you have a timeline for this game, or is it something to work on with a deadline in sight? Right now, no. I have been pitching it to publishers. Obviously, right now it's very tough to find a publisher willing to take on an indie MMO. I try and put in my actual pitch deck. Like, it's actually a fantastic time for an indie MMO because all the major AAA and AA MMOs have basically been canceled, right? Like, there's very, very few even in development. So if there's any time at all to actually build an indie MMO, it's right now, because there's a lack of MMO content now. There's going to be even bigger lack of MMO content in like 2 or 3 years because everything in development got canceled. And so there's a couple, like New World was dying, and all New World people didn't have any idea what they wanted to play, right? It's either play the top 6 or 7 MMOs or nothing, or wait for something else, or become a variety streamer type thing. And so that's kind of where I'm at. I'm trying to, like, basically, I'm between jobs, right? And so this industry is kind of a mess. And so I'm applying for actual, jobs in the industry while pitching and creating indie game projects. And Runes of Tearyn is one of those indie game projects. And so I've always yes, I have the long-term bigger project for maybe a publisher that has a bit more money and success, and I have the smaller game projects that are just more two-person teams and stuff. Even with Tearyn, I'm only looking for a 5-person team, right? It'd be a mistake to try and scale up to anything more than that. And so I would eventually probably crowdfund the game as well, with this concept of like every crowdfunded MMO has they've never actually had like a real playable experience that's like polished and interesting when they did their crowdfunding campaign. And so through Runes of Tearyn, we already have something. Yeah, the artist stuff, so I've actually started on like my own characters. And so we're trying to that's part of one of the big progression things I've wanted to have as part of this experience is an actual, so like we're like we want to stay in the stylized space, and so we don't really know what that is, and so this is just experiment, right? And so it's like being a low poly, potentially playing with the actual polygons to be pixelated, and like having some actual like visual aesthetics to them, and so and as a result of all this is we'd have our own character. Like we want to have like stylized things like just the basic hands, and we'll actually probably have like a more 2D, either a 2D face or a 3D face that goes on top, like actual eyes or whatever on top. But we're experimenting with stuff. But the core of it is we need a budget, right? We don't get paid for this, and yeah, it's the unfortunate side of everything. Um, and it's always very difficult to just take a volunteer, or I know Monsters and Memories does it, but they guess what, they had the legal backing. They have someone that actually has um, some form of financial comfort stage. The Loving Robots guy. I don't know his financial situation, but he's obviously very comfortable in his kind of situation. And so they went out and got legal forms of stuff to get done for volunteers and things, because it's actually happened plenty in the past in this industry where people get together to work on a project, and it's like this typical maybe engineer artist design situation, and a year or two into the project they start having disagreements on direction of the game, and because the artist is like, well, I don't want to be part of this project anymore, I'm taking all my art with me, right? And same thing could happen with a designer, same thing could happen with an engineer. And so you have to have those legal documents that say anything you do for this project is going to be owned by the company that works on this project or owns this project. And so um, it's one of those things that I totally agree that the Cinti Studios stuff is holding us back on even getting testers. And so people are like, oh, when you get your own characters, then I'll try it, type thing. And so um, and then there's just the aspect of, to me, of like, one of the things I want that I think really gives you that MMO feel is proper character progression. And if I make my own characters, even if they're a very still placeholderly state, like I just showed you, um, I can start creating all of the different visual appearances for all the loot. And so when you're going through the world and looting stuff and equipping it, you have that sense of, I see my gear change. If I put a cloth piece of armor on, I see a cloth piece of armor on my character. I think that's really important to see your gear get change on your character as you equip stuff. And so that's kind of like where I'm at. But um, so it's definitely something I'm thinking about, and then um, really getting that kind of class fantasy of stuff, and that if you're a warrior starting out and you're looting plate gear, then you're feeling like you have, oh, hey, I have a full set of bronze plate gear, and I'm able to um, feel like an actual tank. But yeah, loot progression is definitely like, there's just so many things we have to do, right? The first thing at first is like, I just have to, like, I need to get this one change done with my systems, purely because if I don't, it's going to be a bigger headache to do later, because I have to um, change how abilities work, or are saved rather. And I really want to try this workflow for vertical third, because it might go into the next vertical third update. But yeah, again, we want to be stylized. I don't really think it's good to do much of any realism in games these days, unless it's for like a AAA single player thing. But for MMOs, I think it's a bit of a death sentence to try and do realism in any way. Because by the time you launch, your graphics are dated, and when you have something stylized, like you log into World of Warcraft, and um, any of the old school ones, World of Warcraft, RuneScape, EverQuest, like EverQuest is like considered almost PlayStation 1 graphics, right? And so it's still not realism, even though they were trying to be realism at the time, but it still looks like you're not bothered by the looks of it. It's just a low poly art style. And so we're trying to think about that. And so I think I even was like, I think I actually tested the character or something. Mechanics testing, is it in here? I think I was like at the process of just like, because obviously I'm not in any way a 3D model or anything at heart. But I was basically just trying to test the character out, just test the rigging, test all the animation retargeting and stuff. And like sometimes when you have a character in Blender and then you put it in game and it just like looks like shit, and you're like, and I'm not even talking about the rendering. I'm talking about the like the proportions of everything. And so yeah, well, like keep in mind that like we've stated this several times, like art is not the focus right now. It's something we're interested in, obviously improving, and it'll evolve over time. But we're using marketplace assets for a reason, right? Like it's not the importance of this stage of development, and sinking a lot of resources into it is kind of bad at this stage, right? Like gamers are proving something can look bad but be fun, and they'll play it. You look at Valheim, right? Like it's got this weird old school, very chonky, very gimpy animation stuff, but it was a fantastic game. People loved it. And so um, it's just one of those things that we're a two-person team. Neither of us is like a 3D artist, you know? And so we're focused on what we can do, which is our tech, and um, getting it online, which is arguably like the harder part, right? Like it's more impressive to have something online, working, functional, no lag, potentially hundreds of people in the zone, um, right? And then we can eventually work on everything else. And so, and art budget, art you need a budget to do art, And so, um, we're doing the best we're doing the best we can with what we got. And so, a lot of the assets we've already had from the past, and we're just trying to um, get it functional and get a vision for the project and get playtesters and see what those playtesters think of it all. Let me do one little quick thing. Forgot to announce the server. Why did it just do? Oh. Oh, stream mode. Okay. But yeah, it's just it's an indie project, right? Like until we get an actual budget, even when we do get a budget, like we're not going to dive into the artwork just yet. We're going to figure out the gameplay first, because like again, we're in pre-production. Like it's not even pre-alpha. We're in pre-production still, and so we're still figuring things out on where we want to go with everything. And so um, art style will evolve for sure. And it's one of those things. If you focus on art too early, you're kind of burning through cash flow. And so I'd rather do the art myself as a base level, see how that feels and looks, and then we can bring in an artist and be like, okay, this is where we're going with it. Make it a hell of a lot better than I did, you know. Okay, so back to what I was doing. So we have blueprints. Download. I think that's fine for now. Database is kind of, I've done enough there, I believe. NPCs, it's fine. I could put player class. I could have one more. I'll just do this. Players. Yeah, it's kind of hard. I'm very much an engineer, so I basically only pick polyacids, so give it some coherent or so. Yep. I guess it's just one of those things, like, focus on making the game interesting and fun first, and then because we're like an indie MMO project, right? You're never going to get funded as an indie dev if you can't prove the technology point of it first. And so you have to work like even if you came into a publisher and said, "Oh, look at my great art for an indie MMO," they're going to be like, "Well, how can we know that you're able to build that?" And so, but the reverse is, "Hey, here's my indie MMO. Here's all the playtesting done. Here's the stress server, thing I did, and we can replicate that across several zones." That might actually get the attention of a publisher, right? And so the next MMOs or indie MMOs that are going to be published are probably going to be in the $2 million range. And that's like what we're shooting for, right? $2 million over like 5 years or something like that. And so with like a 5-person team. And so, and then we'd probably be at, year 2 trying to do a bigger crowdfunding raise, whether that's through a website or Kickstarter or whatever, Ko-Fi, who knows. But we want to kind of like, we look at all the failures of, I'm a big person that like, if you're building an MMO, know your history of MMO failures. And MMO failures fail big time based on the technology they choose, whether it's building their own engine or trying to, rip things out of the engine that cause problems. Like Unreal, like any type of like every MMO that tries to do something, they try and do seamless loading, right? And to me, that's like the biggest don't do seamless loading. Don't try and make this massive world with seamless loading between zones. You don't even need it. Like it actually causes more performance problems than what a couple seconds of loading in small levels, And so it's one of those things. All right, I have my players folder. Update references. These should be all empty now. Classes, delete. Players, classes. Okay, I like that better. Yeah, just doing hard travels. Like I talked about this in my indie MMO video, but it's so good for performance in Unreal Engine to just do a hard load, right? You're clearing your memory cache. You're like wiping out all this bullshit that might be adding up and stacking up. And so it's way better to do just hard loading throughout your game. And plenty of other games do it, like the whole ARPG community. Like they're constantly loading between things, using fast travel and stuff these days. And um, there's just not much reason to do this massive seamless, like, because the engineering, no engine has built-in seamless world travel, right? Or seamless loading. That's all custom shit you have to build, and it dramatically, the engineering cost is so much more dramatic over that. Um, and then you have like the load balancing of servers, the like the Ashes of Creation, one of their they talked about their mesh, the basically the whole problem of their server mesh instancing stuff, and how when someone gets close to the edge, that they have to transfer that to the other server, and yeah, and so um, it's that same issue. Even if you think of WoW, right? You probably, like, as an engineer now, you probably look back and it's like, oh, well, every zone has this huge like river, or empty area all across the edges of each zone, and that's where you transfer servers, and so it limits the stuff that can screw up between those zones. So you're kind of already doing it in this like non forced way or non loading screen way, even though it's still loading. It's still kind of a loading screen. You just have to walk through empty spaces for 20 minutes, for like 3 minutes, right? Like going from Stranglethorn Valley to whatever the zone is above it. There's like this giant empty bridge and valley to whatever the dark forest is. And like, okay, well, that's where you transfer, and there's no monsters there really, and so they limit the problems that can happen from things crossing zones. And so you might as well, you're just like wasting players' time from walking between stuff. And that's I think the big thing about it's like such a contention point these days of design, of making people walk places when they, like, because of fast travel, people want the convenience and stuff. And so um, I don't know, but yeah, it's just like the creating a team size too big, like going back to like failures of past MMOs. Too big of a team size for the expected outcome. Trying to be a WoW killer instead of just being a niche MMO, and so that those two kind of go together, right? Like if you have a 5-person MMO, you can have probably a 10 to 20,000 person, monthly players, and be profitable, right? If you have like Ashes of Creation, they're kind of probably feeling the heat right now, right? They have a 200 something person team for years, and they're kind of have always stated they're going to be a niche MMO. And is that niche MMO going to be sustainable in the future? I don't know. Or even in the currently development cycle, I'm not sure. And so, and then going back to the technical challenges, like a lot of the MMOs right now, Ashes, like, they have the budget, so like they're taking their shot of this networking mesh technology, but it's obviously costing a lot of money during the process. And then Raf Koster's MMO is this massive voxel world, which is putting obviously a ton of financial stress on the company. Well, I say stress on the company, but like I don't know their budget. I know they got investment and stuff. They did the Kickstarter, but they had previous like venture backing and stuff. But it's tons of time sinks and money sinks that we as an indie can't do. And so I'm avoiding all of those things that could cause problems, and just knowing the graveyard of MMOs and the problems that can come out of it. All right, I think that one's good. Enumeration. All right, I think I'm going to.
clean this up a little bit with a levels folder. Okay, and I think I need to go to the transition map. But yeah, I truly do think that indies are going to be the ones that make the next interesting MMO. Hopefully, hopefully AAA doesn't swoop in and like build their version of it, which is kind of hard to do these days because the funding's not there. But um, I think the next process of MMOs is going to be a bunch of smaller niche MMOs for smaller communities, and that's what we're trying to aim for. And that's what Monsters and Memories is doing. That's what Pantheon, Rise of the Fallen's done. They have their own little thing that they're building and they're creating. Um, and they're niche, they're small, they're very specific to an audience. And, if they keep their team size appropriate, and they'll be able to just keep building. That's what we want. We want to build our cool little MMO in the corner of the universe and get paid to do it. Again, that one part of getting paid to do it is a hard part. It's very hard to get through. All right, so this is now going to be, rename this to level 1. Oh yeah, that's fine. But yeah, it's really good to watch other developers on this topic. Um, the rise and falls of stuff, like not focusing. I think the one thing so when I was playing EverQuest, I loved the leveling process. I never really did a lot of the rating stuff. I just loved hanging out with people and leveling characters. And so, and then seeing everything that happened with Classic Hardcore WoW, it was just such a social experience in that atmosphere. That's what I want to create. I want to create a 1 to 60 or 1 to 50 um, experience that is just solid. Like, that gets you hooked to have tons of fun, right? You can figure out the late game later on, but that leveling experience from 1 to 50, we'll probably just go Classic EverQuest and do 1 to 50 first. And that is something I want to just be really, really solid and fun. And you don't have to, like, we want to have things like loot you get throughout that leveling experience is actually useful later on at late at late levels, right? And there's a few concepts of like maybe it's a core crafting piece that you need to get at the at a level 25 dungeon, and then at you have to upgrade it with other ingredients in the level 50 dungeon or something like that. Maybe it's the the piece of loot gains experience and you have to level it up type thing. I've been a part of some UE Indie MMO Discord servers. I've seen prototypes, but never a successful release. Yep. Again, like this is why I constantly stress that like we've only been working on this like less than part-time hours. Like there's probably only like full-time hours, probably a month, maybe 2 months of this put into Vertical Third or put into Roots of Tearyn, right? And because we're trying to get work, it's such our industry is such bullshit, And I've been through so many interviews, gotten close so many times, just to not get it at the very end. And so I have the experience. I have a fantastic resume, and yet it doesn't go anywhere. Like I have a resume that's like says, hey, I got $100,000 in rewards. On this actual Unreal Engine tech I've created myself. And so, um, and unfortunately, this industry just sucks right now. But and that's the whole thing. Like again, I go back to this a lot, but the MMO graveyard, right? Every single Kickstarter, um, indie MMO, why did they fail? Right? They too big of scope, not enough experience. Ooh, another follow. Um, Thank you for the follow, Excelicor. Um, and so, stating too many, like I'm a big person for. I'm not telling you the scope of like what will or will not be in the game. I'm here to show you this is what we have. Come play it. With real gameplay, come log in and play the game and tell me what you think. Not, subjective, all these like buckets and buckets and buckets of things that could be in the game and overstate what's in the game. Um, I'm here to kind of like, I want to market through real gameplay tests and show that we can build this thing, right? And everything when it comes down to um, all of the uh, what is it called? Trying to answer like if any MMO product goes to Kickstarter right now, it's going to go through the massive, rigorous, who are these people? What are they doing? What's their background? Can they build it? Like all these things. And when we decide to say yes, we want to crowdfund this project, I want people to be able to log in and decide if they want to fund the project or not. They're like, you know, hey, we're doing our crowdfunding campaign. Play our game, tell us if you like it, and tip us for it if you want to. You know, that's kind of like the mentality, and that's why we're not focused on art. We're focused on, um, the actual uh, tech of it, the positions applied for. So I'm because I'm a generalist. I'm a 10-year generalist for Unreal, right? And so I've done for Blueprint. That a lot of it kind of all comes together as a technical designer. Even though I can do a lot of other things, a lot of times it's technical design because you're doing game design, but you're coding through blueprints or implementing things through blueprints. So that's like I think based on my experience is the where job positions kind of like, especially when you're applying for either AA or AAA positions, they're looking for someone that's very specific, right? It's not, they don't really like generalists. And so, um, framing myself as more of a technical designer is what fits me better for those positions. Whereas indie devs, or indie positions, I'm like more towards a generalist and I do a lot of things because I can wear multiple hats type thing. And then obviously, with my own entrepreneurial experience, I've applied for producer positions, um, technical writing positions. I'm also links below. You might have seen I worked for Epic Games on the big Coursera project, and so I'm an instructional designer. I've done applied for those type of things, um, and so we've created 26 hours of educational content for Unreal Engine, and we did everything from the recording to the editing um, to the scripting. It was like 12,000 lines of script. We teach you all the game mechanics to build 6 different game modes. We did a lot of like marketing styled videos as well for things, and um, and so it's one of those things. It's like there's a lot of things I have like probably 50 different versions of my resume, right? And so um, there's like video editing jobs I've whether it's games industry or not, video editing I've done a lot of. Um, yeah, yeah, exactly. There's massive amounts of competition right now, massive. And so I'm poking my okay, thank you. Well, yeah, thank you for stopping by, Animosity. It was great hearing from you. All right, back to it. Go. Alrighty. Okay. I think I have everything moved over there. And we got that. And let me make sure this opens. Okay, so I'm safe to delete this now. Leave that one. These are modules, which we need. Lighting, test. I don't think I need that. I don't think I need this one either. I definitely don't need that one. Oh, that's not one. Yeah, I don't need this. Okay, character select, landscape test. Alright, move all this. Actually, I should not move them all. Let's just do one at a time. So let's make sure these are all checked out. Make sure they're all. Okay. Okay. I don't think I need this at all. Alright, this is Prismatic, which I'm just going to delete. I'm not using Prismatic right now. I don't think. I kind of pushed it off because I couldn't get it to work properly in a multiplayer setting. Plugins. Yeah, it's not even installed anymore. Okay. So retarget stuff. What did I even use that for? Oh, that was just for marketing stuff. I'm just going to stick both of these in marketing. And I'll keep Okay. Okay. Alright, MMO folder is looking pretty good. This guy, I think most of this I don't need. This can be deleted. So I think the only thing I need in this is the MMO stuff. That I might. Do I need that? Probably not. Okay. And now I can rename this something else. We have vertical third. The launcher and the patcher from prior project. This I don't think I need. Yeah, that was just a little prototype thing. I don't need that. Okay, open Shell Explorer. Alright, so I have the UE samples folder. Modular characters. I don't think I'm going to deal with this. This is the... How many weapons I can keep. Yeah, I can keep all of those. Keep that. This is the modular character system through Cinti, but I don't think I'm going to move into this, I don't think. I'd rather just like work on my own character than get a whole system for this setup. So modular parts, static pieces. I mean, those are all useful in some ways. But the modular parts, I don't think I need. Those are capes. So I think I'm just going to rename that as I'm just going to move it to the City Studio folder. Okay, a little distracted. Let me go to just hiding my screen for a sec.
So I'm just waiting on this transfer to happen. I'm doing a folder move. So I will BRB.